Hey, it's a new episode of The Ugly Truth. Today, we're talking about birthdays. We have a lot in the family. Plus, we talk about America's birthday and what we did on the 4th of July weekend. Paula and I actually have a show that we enjoy together. This with some ugly and awkward moments of the week and maybe an ugly and awkward moment of the week because it's been so long. All of this and much more. Thank you so much. Enjoy the show.
It's another uncensored look at the world around you, from sisters who will say just about anything to anyone at any time. It's the Uggs. Jamie.
And he killed a Wolverine with a hatchet.
Paula.
Oh my God, what have we done?
Uncensored as always, it's time for the Ugly Truth.
Welcome to The Ugly Truth. This is I think this is episode 477. Ugh.
You know what? I will have to look as well because if I even saved it, because I'm in delete mode recently.
Yes.
Trying to salvage my computer. Oh, there's the Dropbox. Did I delete the Dropbox? Yeah, it's 477, unless you and Daryl did a show without me. Okay,
no, because we gave producer Deb July 4th weekend off. So now we're back.
I feel like an old person where it's just like, I just sit around and smile because I don't know what life is,
Yes, I understand.
I'm just waiting for my next meal or nap.
Is it time for the pill yet?
Yeah, right.
Is today Visitor's Day?
Yeah, and then some little kid, I'm like, hi, sweetheart. And they're just like, get away from the old lady. I'm like, oh, that's not my grandchild.
Pretty much. It does feel like that sometimes. Okay, we will get into our recap of the weekend because we both did incredibly different things. So I'm curious to see how yours went, and I'm sure you'll pretend to be curious about how mine went. But the big thing is that there's a lot of birthdays. Mm-hmm. And so today we're recording. It is producer Dub's daughter, her 26th birthday today. And she's also, with child. And so he wrote a beautiful text and photos of her as a little girl.
A little sonnet.
Yeah, it was a beautiful little sonnet dedicated to his, quote unquote, to his princess, who, when she was 5, which he reminded me, loved money. And that's all she wanted for her birthday was money.
You know what? All kids go through that phase where there's just, like Olivia... It's not now, but I want to say it was like 2 years ago where it's just like you could have handed her 5 $1 bills and she was just like, oh my God. Like it's like it was like $10,000. She thought she was so rich. So you take her to like, a gas station and she'd buy like, 5 or 10 pieces of bubble gum.
Well, what's great is when your kids are going through the phase where they want money, you can take them to the Dollar Tree. And they feel like they can just own the house. Walk in with, 8 $1 bills, and they're just like, I'll have one of everything. And you just walk in with a big, big sack full of crap that they bought. They love it.
I'm such a sucker because I'd take her to the store and like the toy section. Mm-hmm. She's like, I really, really like this. She's like, does $5 buy this? And it would be like,
yes,
it'd be like the Barbie RV. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm like, you give me your $5 and then whatever's left, I will pay for it. Yeah. And she's like, okay. And it was like $40. So I'm just like,
cute.
And then even then I'm like, we were there and she was going to hand her $5 to the cashier. I'm like, you know what, honey? I'm like, why don't you just save that? And then maybe the next. So I never used their, I couldn't do it. I felt so guilty. But they always want to like use it. So I'm like, how about you buy this gum? You love this bubble gum.
Yeah.
And so... But they have to wait until I'm done with my transaction. Then they put the little stick on the rolly thing.
Yes.
And they put their gum down. And then the cashier's like, oh, well, hello.
Yes,
and
they're
she's
so
just
sweet.
She's like, I want to buy my gum, please. So
can you imagine if adults continued that behavior? I'd like to purchase these items today, please. I will be using my debit card. Anyway, okay, so happy birthday to Natalie. I told her, I said, enjoy this year's birthday because next year when you have your party, all you'll be doing is telling your 6-month-old to take things out of its mouth. So enjoy it because
yeah, exactly. No, next year you won't even be having a party. Yeah. Likely you guys will be getting takeout somewhere.
Yeah.
Or you'll attempt to take a screaming child to a restaurant and you'll be like, why did we do this?
It'll be a mistake.
And it'll be hot.
It'll be 120 degrees.
If she's still breastfeeding, she's like, all I want to do is stay home.
God.
And
sit in my air conditioning.
go out, just get something, and maybe buy a cupcake, put a fucking candle on it, and then that's it. It's 27. It's not even monumental.
Yeah, it's a nothing birthday, all right?
You know, the baby's had diarrhea all day.
Yes.
I've changed my clothes 6 times.
And then her husband will be like, well, would you like to try a margarita? I am breastfeeding. How dare you? How dare you?
I would really love to try a margarita, but I'm breastfeeding.
I am breastfeeding your child.
You idiot.
On my birthday. Yeah, super fun. It'll be such a fun time.
I remember those days.
Oh, God, they're just pleasant. Olivia's birthday. Actually, this show drops on her birthday. So happy birthday to Miss Olivia, who is 11, which I can't believe it.
I know.
Now, you told me, and I don't think we talked about it on the show, but last week you told me that the goal this year is to get her a kitten for her birthday because her kitten died, or your cat passed away earlier this year or late last year.
I was last April.
So okay, so it's been a year
ago. A year ago, April, right?
And Olivia doesn't have a pet, and so you guys all agreed that she would do well with a kitty. And the goal was to take her to the shelter to have her pick out her kitten. Mm-hmm. And you told me before the show that you are very frustrated.
Well, right. So we've been thinking about this for like a month. I want to say like a week ago, I started looking at the shelters and there was some really cute kittens.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, perfect. I'm like, and it says, adoption. So I clicked on that. Okay, you can't just walk into a shelter now and adopt. You have to email them first with the ID of the kitten you're interested in.
Oh.
If there's a wait list, you get put on the wait list. And then there's an interview. You fill out the paperwork. There's an interview to see if you would be compatible with that kitten.
Okay.
And then you come back and then you interact with the kitten and then they decide if it's a good match. And then I'm like, well, no wonder the fucking shelters are overflowing with animals. You make it impossible.
Some do have a waiting list. I mean, there are some that absolutely do, but there are so many kittens. The only thing I have read recently because of the pandemic is that you have to make an appointment.
Yeah, well, they said we had to fill out first we had to email them about the kitten we were interested in. So I'm like, okay, we're interested in,
247.
Yeah, cat number 247. I think his name was Chomp or something like that. Which obviously she wants to name the kitten Axel.
Aww.
And so,
she's already aware.
Yes, we have to. She wants specifically an orange kitten that she wants to name Axel.
How cute.
We're searching high and low to find an orange kitten. So then we start. Okay, we're like, well, we'll go to Craigslist. I mean, there are some, but not all kittens are cute. I know that sounds terrible.
No, not at all.
Some have like squishy faces. Some have really long noses.
Yes.
Some just, they don't look right. And I'm just like, no, I want a cute kitten. I don't want to get like, just because it's orange and it's a kitten doesn't mean it's the right one. It looks weird. And
Agreed.
So I guess I'm just being picky because I'm like, I'm just picturing as an adult, like if it's got a long nose, it's going to look like, I don't know. Just weird, It's like, hello,
I get
hello, how are you this morning?
I think it's totally appropriate to be picky. Plus, there's so many.
Like it drinks tea in the morning, and I'm like, I don't want some geek cat.
Yeah.
Then we're on Pet Finder trying to find that, and a lot of them are the same deal because they're with shelters or rescues and all that stuff. And I'm like, they're fucking kittens. Why? What happened to just bringing them in a box in front of a grocery store?
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
So I'm freaking out because I'm just like, if we don't find a kitten today to like let her go see tomorrow,
right,
then we're screwed. So today, we're still looking to see if we can find a place to go tomorrow. But as a backup plan, we're probably going to get her a new tablet.
All right. Well, I'm sure this will all work out. And I really hope she gets her kitten. That's what I really want her to get. But, nice backup plan if you have to do it.
Well, we're still going to do it, even if it's not tomorrow.
It just might take some time.
Yes.
And so
I got
you.
What we'll let her know is that, this was supposed to be your birthday present. We just couldn't get it on your birthday.
Yeah. So now, but the birthday present is now we're going to continue watching the shelters. And when one that you love comes up, we will make the appointment and we will go in and get it. Okay. So really quick, before we move on to America's birthday, I listen to copious amounts of podcasts. And one of my favorites is Adam Carolla. And this was a few weeks ago that they did this, and this is in regard to birthdays. There's this thing, and I'm sure they didn't invent it, but they were talking about guests that would be at your cocktail party based on the fact that they share the same birthday as you.
No, wait. So everyone who was born, let's say on my birthday, December 3rd.
Yes.
They would all be at that cocktail party.
Yes. And so I have 5 for you, 5 for me, and 5 for producer Deb. And then you can kind of envision what the party would look like if you were to attend this party, said party. And it would be your party.
Okay.
So for you, December 3rd, the top 5 people at your birthday party would be Warren Jeffs, the polygamist who's in jail.
Fantastic.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, my God.
Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish. Is that the comedian?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be cool.
That would be fun, right? Andy Williams, this really old singer from like the 100 years ago.
Okay.
He sang Moon River.
Oh, I like that song.
And then Brendan Fraser.
Ooh, I love him. I actually want to marry him.
You do? Well, the 6 of you would have to somehow have a conversation over cocktails for your birthday.
Okay, so it would be me, Brendan Fraser, and Tiffany Haddish.
Yes.
Talking about the other old guys and trying to like plot something like, okay, I dare you to go and talk to Andy Williams, but somehow use the word penis in a sentence.
What about Ozzy? Ozzy.
Jamie, it doesn't matter what you say to him. He just doesn't understand.
He doesn't.
Especially if Sharon wasn't there.
Right?
It would be like,
yeah, that's true. That is true. Okay, so here's mine. My cocktail party is very weird. First and foremost, Paul Rudd is there. So,
you are so goddamn lucky.
I know. And then NFL running back Emmitt Smith would be there.
Oh, Jimmy, you're so lucky.
Madeleine Albright, who is the first female U.S. Secretary of State. So she would be the one to bring, the brains to the party. And then, of course, Roger Ailes shares my birthday.
Ew, he'd have to come out of prison.
No, he's dead.
Oh, he died?
Oh, yeah, he died.
Oh, he'd have to come out of the grave.
He died.
Oh, that's right. He had like a heart attack or something.
He died right after Trump became president because he's the reason why Trump ran. And so,
well, he actually didn't he get indicted and then he was gonna.
He's a disgusting pig. Oh my God. Yeah, beyond.
He suffered from hemophilia. Is that like a sex
hemophilia?
thing?
No, it's a blood disease.
Oh, okay.
And then finally, Mary Jo Buttafuoco would be at my party.
Oh my God. You know what that makes me think of is
What?
in Living Color, they did the reenactments, but they did it with a lot of one. And they did one, I think they did like a New York version. And she's like, you Mary Jo Buttafuoco. And then she had like her little gun. She's like, yeah, what do you want?
Yeah. Okay, and then just for shits and giggles, I did Daryl to see, and of course, I think his is the best, and I'm annoyed, but anyway, those were ours, and this is producer Dubs. Andy Griffith would be there. Yes. Heidi Klum. Alanis Morissette. They're all female. Amy Schumer. And then David Berkowitz, the serial killer, son of Sam, would be there. So that would be fun for him.
That's interesting.
It's a very odd party, but he would be there and he'd be incredibly uncomfortable. And he'd be like, well, I guess I have to talk up Andy Griffith because I can't look at Heidi Klum because I'd be looking right at her breasts because she's so much taller than me.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay, so going on to the final discussion on birthdays, this past weekend was America's birthday. And so, there was muted celebrations as far as there was no big shows to go to. A lot of stuff was canceled. So we stayed home. Daryl smoked a bunch of chicken and we made food and had cocktails. And now Friday the 3rd, we stayed up till midnight and watched the first showing of Hamilton on Disney Plus.
Yes.
And that was on till 3 a.m. And we were up, did not budge for almost 3 hours and watched the entire thing. Paula, that show is so good. It is so good. Did you guys watch it?
We haven't yet,
What?
but I know we're going to.
Oh, Paula, you have to.
Well, both kids want to see it.
Oh, they have to see it. It's great.
Yeah, we're going to see it.
It's just good. You don't even have to love anything, but when something is just good, it's just good, and you can't deny it.
Well, the lead, what's his name?
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Mm-hmm.
He is just a really interesting guy.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Yeah, so we were really excited. We're really excited to see it.
Definitely take some time to watch that. And then on 4th of July, I introduced Daryl to another amazing musical, 1776. And it was a film. It was a show, but then they filmed it kind of like, just like a musical, like anything. And it has a lot of famous people in it. And it's a reproduction of the Broadway show. And it's one of the only Broadway shows outside of now this Hamilton that I actually like. And it's about the signing of the Declaration of Independence, about what it took to get to that signature. And it is heavy and really, really good. And so Daryl had never seen it. And I said, oh, we have to watch it. So we watched it, and he's like, that was really good. I had no idea. I'm like, I know. It's heavy, too, because there's this huge debate about slavery and how they let it go and how it literally affected the entire fabric of the country. And it was just this whole thing, and about all of the founding fathers did not like each other very much. But it was super cool. So anyway, that's what we did. Tried to get drunk, but I just was not into it. I just didn't feel like it. So that didn't happen. But anyway, you guys, you said that you were sick of the cherry bombs, and so you guys left town.
So for whatever reason, in our neighborhood, I would say within like a half a square mile, literally the week of any event that permits fireworks, people do fireworks like every day, every night. And there is multiple houses where they just do those like bombs that explode.
Hate
like
it.
The cherry bombs.
Yeah.
And they do them at like, 1 o'clock in the morning.
Of course.
And so it's just, it annoys everyone. And plus with Victor and his PTSD and all that stuff, he can't handle it. And so every night, and especially if he has to go to work and stuff, he can't sleep.
Right.
And so I'm just like, I know it's going to be freaking crazy here on 4th of July. I have no desire to be here and listen to people do bomb explosions until the sun rises.
Right.
And so we were looking to see if there was any fireworks display anywhere. And Lake Oroville, which is supposedly one of the nicest lakes in Northern California, I didn't know that, was going to have a big fireworks display over their lake.
Okay.
And so we're like, well, that'll be nice. And it's a nice area. And, they also have the Feather River. And so we're just like, well, we can go to the Feather River. The kids can swim in the pool at the hotel. And, it'll be a nice little getaway.
Sure.
And so we drove up there, check into the hotel. Pool's closed because of COVID-19. Although like 15 minutes later, there was people swimming, and it was the hotel staff. So,
all right.
Right. And then come to find out, the fireworks are not going to be over the lake. They moved them to over the airport because I don't know why. And so now we have to go over to the airport to find a place to park. So we actually found a really good place to park. We were literally like right in front of the airport. There's a golf course that butts up to the airport. So that's where we were.
Nice.
Problem is, everything on those back roads are all stop signs. So, everybody and their brother was there.
Sure.
Now, here's the thing about Oroville. When we pulled into town, it just kind of looked like maybe a zombie apocalypse had just hit and like it was gone.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people walking around like with, very few teeth, talking to themselves.
Yeah.
This one lady was walking down the street and she did like a spin as she was walking. And
oh, okay. Dancing to her own music, was she?
Not a place that you would want to walk around day or night. And so we're just like, oh my God, what have we done? And so
yeah, no offense to our Orvillians listeners, if we have any. According to this, 100 being the safest in the crime index, Oroville is ranked 2 out of 100. It is safer than 2% of U.S. cities.
Wait. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It is very bad. 100 would be the best. Crime-free.
Oh, okay. So I was thinking 100 would be the worst. So I was thinking, so it's really safe.
Your chances of becoming a victim of a violent crime in Oroville is 1 in 171 people. There are 4 murders a year, 10 rapes a year, 32 robberies a year, and 66 assaults per year.
I can see that.
So, hey, everybody's got a place to live. Someone's got to live there, I suppose. But you didn't know. I mean, you didn't know.
I have no intention of going back there, and I don't care how nice the lake is. So
listen, you know what? You were just trying to do a good thing, okay? It is what it is, you know. You guys escaped crime free. You were not victims of a crime, so that's nice.
But we had a funny time, and we had good experiences, and you know, it was a lesson learned, and we're like, well, check Lake Oroville off the list, never going back, and
pretty much
moving on to Whiskey Town.
Woo! All right, moving on. We actually do not have the same taste when it comes to television. You guys like shows that, or you particularly like shows that I have no interest in. I obviously watch shows. I watch a lot of mainstream pop culture, popular shows, and you don't really find any interest in many of them. So we can never really do a true television segment because neither one of us were all bored, you know, but I can't believe this. Actually, I can believe it. You and I have a show that we both like. And it's your fault that I love it.
Really?
Yes. And I want to publicly thank you for mentioning it because it is absolutely an obsession now. And I will explain. The show on the History Channel called Alone.
Yay!
Paula, I am an obsessed person.
What season
Okay, well, let me
on?
explain. Let's see, what's today? I'm trying to think when this all started. Sunday, I was like, I hate TV. There's nothing good on. Now that there's literally no shows coming out because of the pandemic, it's like I've got to start digging into the files, looking for shit that I've been putting off on watching. And I was like, you know what? I saw a promo for it because I actually love the History Channel. And so that's where Grant is. That whole show about President Grant was on there, and I watched that whole thing and I loved it. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That show, Paula said something about Alone. I wonder what that is. Now, I'm not a big fan of the whole mountain man, survivalist, like living in a bunker kind of people, but that's not what this show is. I did not realize that. So I saw the promo and I went, oh, all except for the new season that's airing right now, all the past seasons are on Netflix.
Well, actually, they're on the History Channel too.
They are, but there's a few commercials in that. But Netflix is completely commercial free, and so I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'll just watch last year's season, which was season 6, and I'll just
start with number 1.
Nah. So I started with season 6, and I started watching it. And by the end of episode 1, I was completely hooked because they're in the Arctic, which apparently they'd never done before.
No, that was new.
And so I literally watched, I think Monday, I finally got to the finale.
Oh, you watched the whole thing?
Oh, yeah. I binge watched. I stayed up till 11 o'clock and then came out the next day and I told Daryl, I said, listen, I know that you probably want to watch this with me because, you know, we were watching this together. I said, but I'm a woman obsessed. I can't stop thinking about it. So if you don't watch it with me, I'm not caring. I need to see this. And he's like, okay. So he didn't want to wait. So I started watching it yesterday around 4 o'clock.
So did you start with season 1 then?
No, I started with season 6 and I watched the entire season.
You were still watching season 6. Okay.
Yeah. So because I actually have to like be responsible too. I couldn't sit and not move. Anyway, so I watched the season finale when the best contestant of all won. It's not a spoiler because it's way over a year old, but his name was Jordan.
He had the Moose Plateau refrigerators.
He killed a moose and he killed a wolverine with a hatchet. And this dude is about as badass as they come. And he was by far the most I told Daryl, I said, I almost want to marry someone like that. Like I could be with someone like that because I would be fed and warm and safe. Literally from anything. This dude is badass. So last night I started watching the current season on demand. There's only 4 shows out, and so I watched 2. So I've only met like 4 or 5 of the contestants out of the 10.
Okay.
2 have already gone home. So I'm like, I'm obsessed with this.
Here's the thing. For some strange reason, I also started with season 6. And I was completely fascinated. And
my God.
Like, okay. So I then went back and started with season 1.
Oh, okay.
Now, we are watching season 7, and I can tell you it's terrible. It's not good.
Well, I will tell you this. In all honesty, season 6 set the standard so high that so far I'm looking going, I can't believe this guy lost his fucking flint 10 days into the show. Like, what? And they're kind of like Like there's a girl who has to move her camp, and she tried to follow a wolf pack like a moron. And
that's the thing is, Victor and I are watching this, and we even said that we're like, did they pick like the hillbilliest like rejects to be on this season? Because this season. They're going to give $1 million to anyone who stays for 100
days.
And so I'm just like, I said, you know what? I'm like, I don't even know if anyone's going to make it 100 days. I'm like, these people are so ill-equipped, it seems like, and they just don't seem smart. They are making mistakes. It's getting ridiculous. And I'm almost like, I don't even want to watch this season because it's so like lame to me compared to all the other seasons. So if I were you, I would start with season 1 because season 1, we absolutely fell in love with like almost all the characters.
Ooh.
And there is one in particular that you will love. And he's the one that we love.
Okay. And then interestingly, the guy, Jordan, who won season 6, his brother participated in season 2. And so I'm like, I did almost start from the very beginning, but I thought, you know what? These are all contained, like from page 1 to the last page. You don't need to watch these in order necessarily, but I definitely want to watch season 1 first because this is the first 10 who've ever tried to do this, which means they're going to be learning. All these other people have been studying the show for so long, they know what to do.
And that's the thing is that, so you watch season 1, you see what people do. And then as the seasons progress, you see how primitive it goes from to very smart, you know,
Yes.
they don't make the same mistakes that a lot of other people made in the previous episodes. And there's some really tough girls you would not like, and they're not like tough, like, you know, big and strong and stuff like that. But they're very smart. And
well, first of all, just for anybody who does not even know what we're talking about, there's this show called Alone, and they take 10. I call them outdoor survivalists. They send them to a place that is very wild, like completely uninhabited by mankind. And they go there and they have to survive for 100 days. And whoever the last man standing is wins. Well, that season that we watched was $500,000. This year, it's 100 days, $1 million. If you can last 100 days. I don't see that happening.
Well, and then the thing is about the show too is that the show has a list of items that are available to bring
10.
But out of the list you can only pick 10.
Yes.
And so they try and choose very wisely what they think the 10 most important items that they would want to have.
For the most part, they all pretty much take the same stuff, like a fire starter, although in season 6, Nathan, who was a homesteader who I actually really liked, did not bring a fire starter, a flint, because he was so confident in his skills for fire starting that he didn't think it was worth taking, that he was going to take something more of importance. And of course, underestimating the type of wood that's in the Arctic, it became an issue. But hilariously and ironically, he burned his shelter down and had to go home. And
that one was so terrible. Yeah, well, I know.
What was terrible is that they couldn't get to him for 8 hours, and he was exposed to tundra weather and had to try to find a way to stay, you know, and not die of hypothermia. That was scary.
That's the other thing, too, is some of the people on the show, they do medical checks on them.
Yes.
I want to say they probably do it every week, if I had to guess. Or maybe even twice a week. And then they have basically the doctor calculates all their numbers.
Right.
And they basically tell them, like, okay, your weight is so low or your body mass index is so low that you're in a crisis range where your body is going to start feeding on your organs, or your organs are going to start failing, or your heart is working too hard.
Right.
And so we have to medically pull you from the show. And so that's really difficult for a lot of them because they're just like, I've been out here for 56 days.
Yeah.
I'm ready to stay, but medically they're pulling me and I have no choice.
Here's the way I look at it. There were a couple of things on this show, especially when you're hitting about day 50. I kept thinking about what you said about the show, where you said people who have the money in mind as to why they're doing this never fare very well. And that is absolutely true. The other thing I noticed is that, like, a lot of ex-military guys who have seen some shit and have done some things do this show. And like this one guy, he's like, I have been a student of this show. I know how I'm going to do this. I'm going to survive this and I'm going to win. It's going to be great. He was so comfortable that by day 50, he was so bored, and he was a grizzled veteran of the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. His mind, he couldn't be alone with his thoughts. He tapped out. Yeah. Just like that. Well, and it was really fascinating to see that even though he easily could have survived the 100 days physically, mentally, he could not.
And actually, once you start watching all the episodes, motive plays a big role on how people can survive.
Yeah.
And then also an ability to detach, I guess, or if like how attached they are, or like if they've ever been able to, I guess, be detached from something. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to explain it, but if you've ever like had the unloving, like detachment, you can do it.
Well, you can compartmentalize, but then here's the other thing. I think true survivalists who are trained to do this, I don't even think it's about detaching. It's that they are so present and understanding that they must survive this, because if they get stuck or if they get caught up on missing their wife and kids or their family, they're fucked. And it's kind of the same mentality in the military. When you're a special ops unit, you don't even, well, they actually tell you not to even have family, but if they do, you have to like find a way to train that and not to be, you have to be about yourself at that moment. That dude who won season 6, I mean, the precedent is set so high for anyone. He was so impressive that he has been interviewed on Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan brought him in. He's like, dude, oh my God. And this guy is a good dude too. Like, he's such a nice guy. So after I watched that season, I said, well, that's it. I have to watch everything. But I wanted to start with the current season because I figured you're probably watching the current season. So
we're caught up, but we're not impressed.
So I have two more episodes to watch before I'm fully caught up. And honestly, I want to do a segment every time whenever we want to talk about it, because I'm so obsessed with this show. I love it so much. It's like Bear Grylls on steroids. It's amazing. And I'm so impressed with these people. And the women are badass. I love these women so much, and they're all saying the same thing. A woman needs to win this show, and I'm like, okay,
so that's the problem. That's the problem with you starting later. Is now you know what happens 1 through 6.
Well, I didn't care about that. I mean,
Victor and Ryan hadn't seen because I watched it by myself, and so 1 through 6, they were convinced this one girl was going to win, and I was just like. Like, even in my mind, I'm like, she really could have won. But I wasn't, because I remember it was like season 3 or something. And I'm like, well, I know she didn't win, because in season 6, they said it's about time a woman wins. And I'm like, well, she's not going to win. So,
and by the way, I will tell you this, the runner-up, the second place winner of season 6, Wyona, she's from Nevada City. She still lives in Nevada City. And I was so impressed with her. I want to meet her. I want to meet her so badly.
We should see if she wants to come on the show, maybe.
Well, she does. She does do like, she has classes and stuff, and I'm like, I'll take her fucking class. I want to know how to make a buckskin coat. She was so impressive. And here's the other thing I noticed: every episode I've seen where a woman kills a bunny, they cry. Everybody cries when they kill the bunny for the first time.
They do. Yeah, there is
they do.
Lot of,
they're like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I just hate it.
I would just fish the whole time, but that's just me.
Well, now I don't, obviously you can't tell me anything yet, but Amos from this current season, I was impressed with him with the first thing. And what I like about him, first of all, he's Latin, but also that he's very Native American in his mentality on how he deals with wildlife and stuff.
Yes.
And a lot of them are like that, though. Not just him. I mean, they're all like...
Most of them respect the earth. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, all the big game hunters on this show, if they kill something, they're just like, thank you so much for your life, buddy. You're so beautiful. And then they're very respectful when they clean and, harvest everything. They don't dispose of anything.
Yeah,
like,
they don't
use
waste
literally everything. And so that part of it, I told Daryl, and I've always maintained this. I said, I realize that I hate camping, but I have to tell you, I am not opposed to learning how it feels to take a life of a food that I eat. Like, I'm not opposed to it. I know what it's like to see a pig and a cow die. I've seen it. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But I think it's important. I think it's important to know where your food comes from. But I also, I told him, I said, I want to go to the Arctic Circle. I go, you want to go with me? He's like, fuck no. And I'm like, really? I totally want to go. I'm dying. I love it.
Yeah, I told Victor, I said, I really think I could do a show like this. Assuming I had the skills, but I don't think the length of time would bother me. And the only reason why, and this is what I told you, is I said, and this is what I think is hardest for people. If you're just going to win the money, those people shuffle out so fast.
Like the first 40 days.
Not even that. They're gone within the first 2 weeks. Because their love for their families totally supersedes money.
You're right.
I mean, that's going to come out fast. So they have to come out. They have to have a greater purpose, like either self-reflection.
I love those people. The
ones
people
that are trying to accomplish something greater than themselves.
Yes.
They're trying to prove something to themselves, or there's usually it's usually something bigger than the money that's keeping them there. Or maybe it could even just be the fact that they're just like, I am not quitting. Maybe they've quit before in life, but they're just like, I'm not quitting.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm fully impressed, and I'm all in on this show. So I am going to catch up on this current season, and then I'm going to start at season 1, episode 1, because I definitely want to see the very first series.
You have to.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. And I'm also going to watch, I also want to get into season 2 as well, because Jordan's brother participated. And I didn't realize that every season has somewhat of a theme. So I will be excited to see what the difference is for every episode.
It does change.
Season.
Actually, I'm trying to think. Yeah, there were a couple of they did change it up a little bit. Like one season they did not couples but pairs. And another season they did, well, I don't want to spoil it for you, but
don't. I'll watch it and we'll talk about it though. I'm dying. But anyway, thank you so much for talking about it, and I'm so excited. I love it so much.
I know. I'm so disappointed we're all caught up. I mean, we literally binge watched that. I mean,
oh God.
We watched 6 seasons in a week.
It's so easy. It's so easy to watch. Okay, Ugly and Awkward Moments of the Week. Let's do some. Edition. Since there's been so much birthday talk today, I have 3 ugly and awkward moments that are in regards to birthday parties. This one made me think of you, and it made me laugh, so I thought I would share it.
Okay.
The management threw a birthday party for a lady at the office. A guy who was retiring thought it was for him. No one told him, and we just let him believe it was for him. And Judy got a birthday after he left.
Well, why didn't they throw a party for the guy?
Maybe he was an asshole. We don't know. Can you imagine walking in to one of those horrible office parties? You're like, hey, there's cake in the break room for Judy. And then everybody shows up and it's just like a Costco cake, so there's no happy birthday on it. And, Doug walks in and they're like, oh, you guys shouldn't have. Oh, thank you so much.
I mean, the only reason why I would think that if it was like a Friday at 3:00, the day I was retiring, I mean, I would think that'd be a fair assumption, but.
Okay, here's another one. This one made me laugh too. I'm Mexican, and in most Latino birthday parties, they smash the birthday person's face in the cake. Well,
really?
the cake was an ice cream cake, and when they smashed the birthday girl's face, they broke her nose. Can you imagine seeing that?
Yes, I could. It sounds like something we would do.
Oh my God.
As someone was going to smash it, Allison would be going to smash it in my face, and then you would be like, it's ice cream!
No! And then knock you out on the floor, and you're concussed with a broken nose.
But you know what? My nose wouldn't break. I was like, oh, it's just severely bruised. I'm like, gosh, damn it!
I just need a nose job.
This thing will never break!
So funny.
I'm like that guy from that movie, Bruce Willis. What is it called? Unbreakable.
Nothing will ever break.
Here, let me touch you. Yes, you were assaulted in 1965.
Oh, God. And finally, I showed up after my parents dropped me off. I walked in, didn't know anybody. I thought, oh, I guess some of my friends are late. 30 minutes later, I realized I was at the wrong birthday party. And being a 7-year-old, I didn't have a phone, so I stayed the whole 6 hours.
So just so happens that the house they dropped him off at was having a birthday party as well?
Yes. My guess is honestly,
weird.
my guess is that they saw balloons or something and thought, "Oh, here it is," and didn't even look at the address.
I've never.
First of all, I would never drop my 7-year-old off.
Okay, that's what I was gonna say. I've never dropped my children off, like rolled down, like slowed the car down, opened the door, and kicked them out.
Get out!
Like,
Bye!
See you in 2 hours.
6 hours. And first of all, who has a birthday party for 6 hours?
I always walk up to the door. I meet the mom. I see like what the snacks are, what games they're gonna play.
Yeah,
I've always got an eye
eye
like how our present measures up to everybody else's.
Right.
And then I'm
you can
just
tell
like,
by the
all
wrapping
right.
paper.
Well, and I always ask them. I'm like, "Do you want me to stay, or do you want? Or are you okay here? Do you want me to go?" Or
I know. I don't know
actually,
why.
most of the time at 7, I never gave her the option. I always just stayed. So
The reason that I included that story is it's something I would have done as a child because I never spoke up. I just kind of just went, well, I guess this is just what my life is now. And I just kind of dealt with it. I never would have said, "Excuse me, I don't think I'm at the right house." And,
well, don't you think someone would be like, "Who's that little boy?" But
well, one would think.
you would be like, "Is that Alex?" I don't know. Well, I guess it could be. I mean, and then ask the little girl, "Is that Alex from your class?" She'd be like, "I don't know."
Who?
Like, well, I mean, maybe it is. He is shy. So.
Yeah. Well, you did invite all your classmates, right? Yes. Well, maybe he's in your class. I don't know. I first of all, I don't know any kid party that's 6 fucking hours. There's no way in hell I would even do that. I'd be like, look, that's not happening.
Hours?
Yeah, that's a crazy amount of time.
That's
for
like
partying.
holding someone a hostage. Why would you leave your 7-year-old at a 6-hour party? What year was this?
I have no idea. What country was this?
I mean, if they told me, like, drop him off at 2, pick him up at 8, I'm like, no. I'll drop him off at 2. I'll pick him up at 3:30 or 4, maybe.
When I was looking for awkward moments for birthday parties, there were copious amounts of stories about people who went to birthday parties where they were the only guest that showed up. I didn't realize this was such a chronic issue, but it is, apparently. I can't imagine it. That's terrible.
Yeah, I guess so. Well,
like this one guy's story, he said there was a man who, he was one of the nicest people ever. He just started at work and he'd been there for a couple of weeks and he decided he was throwing himself a birthday party because he was from Germany and he didn't have any friends. And so he invited everybody from the office to come and have some beer and pizza and, maybe play a game and, just hang out and to get to know everybody better. And he goes, I showed up and nobody showed up. I was the only one that showed up.
You're like, would have been nice to get the memo, guys.
Yeah, right? And he's like, and then what was funny about this one specifically, he goes, I went back to work and I gave everyone a piece of my mind. And I'm like, oh, there's a lot of really nice people at this office.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So we haven't done ugly and awkward moments for a long time, it feels like.
I know.
I have like 4.
I know,
that
some too.
I have like a whole list of them. So
let's do one. Okay, so for in the nature of whatever, let's just do one each today because I have a bunch too, and so let's each do just one, and then we'll officially do ugly and awkward moment on Sunday's show.
Okay, so I'll start with probably the furthest back one. I took Bo to the vet, and actually, before I took Bo to the vet, he had so much fur, and it was matted because he's always scratching, and I'm just like, okay, this is ridiculous. I've had enough. And he always had these like patches of skin that were like irritated or infected, and because he would always like scratch and lick and all that stuff, and they just ended up bald. And so I'm just like, you look like a splotchy, I don't know what. And so I'm like, I've had enough. So I cut his hair down, like off. I cut all his hair off and like he has fur, but he's basically bald. I took him to the vet because I'm just like, once I saw all that, I'm like, his skin was just covered in like rash.
Oh, geez.
And so I was just like, oh, it's not just patches. I'm like, it's bad. So I took him to the vet. He had to get some blood work done for his diabetes anyway. So the vet calls me and he's just like, okay. He's like, so his diabetes, he's like, I want to increase his insulin to blah, blah, blah. And he says, you had mentioned that he was having some skin problems. And he's just like, I think it's really serious because he's lost a significant amount of fur. And I said, I'm like, I forgot to tell you guys. I'm like, I gave him a haircut. I cut all this fur off. And he's like, oh, okay. He says, we thought all of it fell out or something.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, no. And so.
Dork. I shaved my dog.
But I just thought it was funny because he's like, he's lost a significant amount of fur.
And he does look like a little floofy puppy. It's so funny.
He looks so cute. I keep calling him Little Bo Peep.
He's so cute. That's
so
funny.
it was funny. I probably should have told him like, oh, by the way, since the last time you saw him, I have given him a haircut.
Yeah, that would have been nice information to know.
He's not on chemo or anything like that.
Yeah, really. Well, mine is, I have two, but since we're doing dog, I'll tell you the dog related one. So Daryl and I have taken a habit of taking the dogs for a walk every couple of days. So we go like 2 or 3 times a week. We take them to this dog park. It's not a dog park. There is a dog park there, but there's a lot of just paths. It's huge. And we walk a little over a mile with them every time we go. Well, Daryl had to work, and so I said, you know what, I'm just going to take her with me. I'm going to take the puppy, Sasha. She needs to go for a walk because she just terrorizes everybody because she has so much energy.
Yeah.
So I take her to the thing, and I'm walking around, and for some weird reason, there were a lot of people there with like their grandkids or just their little children playing on all of the swing sets and their playgrounds and stuff. So we're walking swiftly, and I don't know why I do this, but every single time I am passing a group of people, I can't just walk by gracefully. Something terrible has to happen. So I'm walking with her, and all of a sudden I turn and look, and there's these 2 people, and they're playing with their grandkids. They're like, oh, Grandpa's got you. And I turn and look, I'm like, oh, that's really cute. And then they see Sasha, and she's super pretty. And they're like, oh, look at the pretty dog. She looks like a wolf, and whatever. And I'm like, and I wave and immediately trip hard. And I did not fall. But I did the thing that we do when you're tripping really hard, and I start to skip and go into a run.
Oh, no. Where was Daryl?
Not there. I was by myself. So I'm like, hey, let's pick up the pace, Sasha.
And I'm caught up.
And now we're caught up. Okay. Woo! It was so funny. I'm like, of course I trip. Now look, and when I trip, it's like my boobs just go, it's like,
oh, I know.
There's nothing you can do about it. So I was like, oh God. Like that could have been worse. I could have fallen, and that would have been awful. But anyway.
No, that is
stupid.
Funny.
So stupid. I felt so awkward.
Well, anyway. It is what it is.
It is what it is. All right. And then we'll share more next Sunday.
Oh, there's plenty
to say.
So, all right, friends. Well, thanks for joining us. Have a good week. We will see you on Sunday. I cannot wait. So other than that, thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening and sharing the show. See you next time on The Ugly Truth.